I'm pretty sure no one reads it. Look at this. Hey, how many Red Sox crewmen does it take to hold a hose?
6. If you don't count that man standing there, they really need all the people.
Yeah, you know why?
They have the correct order.
Want to tell you why now? Think about it. Yeah, think about it. They don't want the hose laying on the ground on a sunny day because it'll burn.
Jack! I have the shirt.
What? What?
Jack!
They want to control it themselves. How much moisture it gets.
When you were pointing to Petroria, which guy were you looking at? I was looking at that guy. I was looking at that guy. No, I'm talking about before.
Conseco! Conseco! Claps!
Just you. Once again, you take all the pictures you want. There's a whole row right here. Okay, look now there's more of them.
They gotta sit there, but we don't.
You think everybody hates each other? They're all free.
Oh God, why is that?
Kill Robocop.
Is that Kirk Suzuki?
What?
Kirk Suzuki?
Kirk Suzuki? Who was that? The catcher for the...
Alright guys, before I tell you a little more about the park, I just got a question. Why is the team called Red Sox? That is a great question. I'll answer that for you now. Back when they started playing in 1901, I mentioned they were called the Boston Americans. They were called the Boston Americans because Boston is a city and American for American League. Well, they switched to the name Red Sox in 1908. Because after the 1907 season, their owner, John Taylor, got them new uniforms that actually had big red socks that they wore. Well, they started being referred to as the Boston Red Stockings. Now, if you can imagine being at a game chanting, "Go Red Stockings," that's kind of weird. Newspaper writers didn't like having to write Boston Red Stockings win every time something happened. So actually the newspaper writers started referring to them as the Sox, spelled S-O-C-K-S, spelled correctly. But on the uniforms, that looked uneven. 3 letters on one side, 5 on the other. They didn't like the look of it. So then the team changed it to S-O-X, so it could be more even on the uniforms, really for symmetry if nothing else. The name stuck to the horror of English teachers all around New England, and now we refer to as the Boston Red Sox. We started being called the Red Sox in 1908, and that's how we got our name. So while we're up here, I want to tell you a little bit more about the park and how it looks the way it does today. I mentioned Mr. Yockey did a lot of renovations in the 30s, but our current ownership has done a lot for this team over the past 10 years. They bought the Red Sox in 2002, and when they did, they made a 10-year commitment to make improvements all over the park so that next year, when we celebrate our 100th anniversary, we can become a National Historic Landmark, hopefully, at which point Fenway can never be torn down and no major renovations can happen once that happens. So they've gone around the past 10 years making improvements and renovations to Fenway Park. The first major addition that they had was the green monster seats added in 2003. In 2004, they put the seats on the Budweiser roof deck. In 2005, they put in a brand new playing field. Then next, they put in the luxury levels, the blue and red seats that go along under that big Fenway Park sign. After that, the Coca-Cola corner where we're sitting right now. Then the Cumberland Farms deck over there. They've gone around the past few seasons redoing the concrete under all the red seats and blue seats that go around the entire seating bowl. This year, they added those 3 brand new lovely video boards out in center field you saw in action today as it welcomes you to Fenway Park. So that's what our new ownership has done for the team in the past few years.
Going to the next, right?
Now, while we're up here, I want to point out some features of Fenway that make it so unique. If you look down at the monster to our left right now, you see that big COVIDian sign right in the middle. To the left of that, you see a Red Sox Foundation sign. What's in the middle of those 2 things?
A ladder.
A ladder going up the wall. Does everyone see that ladder? Okay, let me tell you, that is the most useless ladder in the entire world. It serves no purpose whatsoever. Before the seats were put on the wall, there was a net on top of there, and after a game, a grounds crew member would go over, attach a ladder to the bottom of that ladder, climb all the way up, get all the balls so that it wouldn't caught in the net, and then climb back down. Well, when the seats were put in on top, they didn't need the ladder. They wanted to keep it since it was the original part of the wall. They asked Major League Baseball if they could. They agreed. So you're looking at the only in-play ladder in all of baseball. But as far as ladders go, it serves no purpose whatsoever. It goes nowhere. No one ever uses it. Now, if you look along the bottom of the wall, that is our scoreboard, the oldest manually operated scoreboard in all of baseball, which means that every night there are every game, there's a team of 3 guys who work back there changing all the scores, all the numbers, all the standings by hand. Up into the American League scores, those can all be changed from inside the wall. But the National League scores have to be changed from outside the wall because when the seats were put in on top, they put in support beams that cut off the way to change the National League scores. So if you ever come to a game, in between innings, look down to the left of the words "at bat." If you look down there, you can see the outline of a door. You can just make out the little silver keyhole. That is the only door in and out of the wall. So if you ever come to a game, in between innings, look down at that door. You'll see someone open that up, run out with a ladder under one arm, a pile of numbers under the other, run over to the National League side of the scoreboard, change all the scores, and then run back in. So that's how all the scores are updated on the wall. Now, as I mentioned, the Yankees were the ones that built this wall, and they wanted to be remembered for that in some way. So there's actually a memorial to the Yankees on the wall. Anyone see what looks like a memorial? Anyone see anything? Yeah! All right, I'll point it out. If you see where it says American League in the middle of the scoreboard, does everyone see that? Yeah. And then you look at the N in American, and there's a vertical white line right under it, in between the R and the P. Does everyone see that white line? Yeah. It's not completely painted in white. There's some green spots on it. If you look to the left of that, in between an E and a P, there's another vertical white line that has some spots on it that's also not completely painted in white. Does everyone see those 2 lines? Yeah. All right, on those lines is International Morse code for the Yankees' initials. The first line says T-A-Y for Thomas Austin Yawkey. The next line says J-R-Y for Gene Remington Yawkey. So the Yankees are always remembered for what they did to the park and are always there during games. Now, a couple of years ago, there were some weird rumors flying around that the Yankees were buried under the wall. I can assure you that is not true, but I'll show you how these rumors started. If you look at the first line, the one that has the T-A-Y on it, if you look at the top of it, the 3 letters that go across are H, E, line, P. Some people thought that line might be an L, spelling out help. Now, if you look to the right of that, you can see it says R, line, P. Some people thought that might be R.I.P. or rest in peace. That's how these rumors got started, but I can assure you the Yankees are not buried under the wall. Yeah. Now, our foul poles are very special here at Fenway Park. We have names for each of them. Does anyone know what our right field foul pole is called?
Pesky pole.
Pesky pole, exactly. Named for a shortstop, Johnny Pesky, who wasn't a very big home run hitter. He only had just about 18 home runs in his career, 6 of them here at Fenway. And a teammate of his was a pitcher named Mel Parnell, started calling it the Pesky pole after Johnny Pesky allegedly won a game for him with a home run that wrapped right around that pole. When Mel Parnell became a broadcaster, he started to referring to any home run hit off of or around that pole as a pesky hit or a pesky home run. The name stuck, people started calling it that more and more, and in 2006 it was officially dedicated to Pesky pole in honor of Johnny Pesky. Now, our left field foul pole also has a name. Does anyone know what that is called? It's called the Fisk pole, named for a catcher, Carlton Fisk. I already see some of that. That is named because of a home run that he hit in 1975. In the World Series in 1975, to be exact, Game 6. In that World Series, the Red Sox were playing the Cincinnati Reds. It was Game 6. The Red Sox were down 3-2. They needed to win to push to a Game 7. Well, the game had gone deep into the night. It was the bottom of the 12th inning, and Carlton Fisk, our catcher, came up to bat. He knocks the ball to left field, but as he's heading to first base, he notices that it's starting to curve foul. Does anyone know what he did next? I already saw one person doing it. Let's see, what did Carlton Fisk do?
Show him, Jack. John.
See a little bit. He starts jumping up like a madman, waving his arms, saying, "Get fair! Get fair!" Sure enough, He waves the ball fair. It hits off the foul pole. It's a home run, and the Red Sox win the game.
Black things aren't.
Now, that was the fans got so excited they started mobbing the field. Carlton Fisk had to elbow them out of the way just so he could get around all the bases. The organist played the Hallelujah Chorus for the only time here at Fenway. One of the most historic nights here in Boston. So what went down as one of the best games ever played. I don't have enough time to talk about Game 7. You can go to Cincinnati if you want to hear about that one. So that is why our pesky ball is named the pesky ball. Now, I want to talk about another very famous home run hit here in Fenway and one of the most famous seats here in Fenway. If you look out to all the green seats in the center field bleachers out there, if you look above at the Ford sign and the R in Ford, drop your eye about 3 sections of seats. Does everyone see one red seat out there?
Yeah.
Does anyone not see it?
Wait.
Yeah, a little red seat and all the green.
Oh, that looks like
That seat marks the landing spot for the longest home run ever hit inside Fenway Park. Does anyone know who hit it?
No.
Ted Williams hit it in 1946. On June 9th of that year, the Red Sox were playing a doubleheader against the Detroit Tigers, and it was the beginning of the second game. There was a man sitting out there that day, which is the reason we know that it's that exact seat that got hit. The man's name was Joseph Boucher. Instead of wearing a baseball cap, he was wearing a big straw hat. Well, it was a hot, sunny day. He lost the ball in the sun, and it was coming out toward him. He didn't expect it to come that far. Well, it hit him on the top of the head, broke a hole in his straw hat, and bounced about 12 rows back. In the paper the next day, there was a picture of Joe smiling proudly, holding up his broken straw hat to prove that he had been the one to get hit. Now, to celebrate that, the 60th anniversary of that home run, the Red Sox had about 20 members of Joseph Boucher's extended family all out here to Fenway. They all wore straw hats, threw out the ceremonial first pitch, and sat in that seat, sat in that row, leaving the red seat open in memory of Joe. So a great way to keep that piece of history alive here at Fenway. Are there any questions up to this point? All right, I want to tell you a little bit more about some of the most famous players to ever play for the Red Sox. If you look straight across from us, under that Budweiser roof deck up there, along the wall in front, you see a row of numbers. Those are the Red Sox retired numbers. Some of the best players to ever play here at Fenway Park. Now, to have your number retired by the Red Sox, you need to have played with the team for at least 10 years, finish your career with the team in some way, and be in the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. There are a couple exceptions to that, and I'll mention them as I go through. Number 1 is Bobby Doerr. He was one of the greatest, if not the greatest, second baseman to ever play for the Red Sox. He is now the oldest living player in the Baseball Hall of Fame. He's 94 years old. Number 4 is Joe Cronin, a shortstop as well as manager for the Red Sox in the 30s and 40s, the last player-manager that they had, back when teams all still had player-managers. Number 6 is Johnny Pesky, nicknamed Mr. Red Sox. Now, he's the only one up there who is not in the Baseball Hall of Fame, but he has been with the team for about 70 years as a player, coach, manager, scout, broadcaster. He's basically done every job except selling hot dogs in the stands. So to honor him, thank him for all his contributions. On his 90th birthday, the team retired his number here at Fenway Park. He's over 90 years old. He was at opening day this year in full uniform, still very much a part of this team, and a great sports figure here in Boston. Number 8 is Carl Yastrzemski, known as Yaz around here. He played for the Red Sox in left field for 23 seasons. He was the last player to hit for the Triple Crown, which means he led the league in runs batted in, home runs, and batting average. He did that in 1967. No one has done it since. Number 9 is the kid, the splendid splinter, Teddy Ballgame. Call him whatever you want, but you have to call him the greatest left-handed hitter that ever lived. That is the great Ted Williams, of course. Now, we already talked about that home run that Ted Williams hit. Ted Williams was also the last player to bat 400 for a season when he bat 406 in 1941. Now, Ted Williams had great career numbers, but he could have done even better. But he lost 5 years of his prime playing career to military service as a fighter pilot in World War II and the Korean War, so you can only imagine the type of numbers he could have put up if that wasn't the case. Number 14 is Jim Rice, another power-hitting left fielder here for the Red Sox in the 70s and 80s, and the most recently retired number here at Fenway Park. Now, if you look at the 3 numbers I just mentioned, 9, 8, and 14, those were all left fielders here at Fenway. Ted Williams' rookie season was 1939. Jim Rice's last season was 1989, with Yastrzemski in between. So for 50 years, one of those players was playing left field here at Fenway. A great amount of talent that we had on the team. Number 27, I already mentioned also, is Carlton Fisk. His number is also retired with the Chicago White Sox, because he ended up playing more years for them. But over there, it switched around to 72. But he was from New Hampshire. He really loved the Red Sox, wanted to finish his career for the Red Sox in some way. So before he retired, he signed a 5-day contract with the Red Sox front office as some random job, just so we could say he was part of the Red Sox organization, and we were able to retire his number here at Fenway Park. Now, number 42 is in blue because he did not play for the Red Sox. Does anyone know who number 42 is? Jackie Robinson, exactly. The first African-American player in Major League Baseball, broke the color barrier in 1947 with the Brooklyn Dodgers. 50 years after that, in 1997, all of Major League Baseball decided to honor him by retiring his number throughout the entire sport. No one today will be wearing 42. They did give the players still wearing it at the time the option to continue wearing it until they retired. And today there is still one player wearing it. And who's that?
That's Mariano Rivera.
Mariano Rivera, the closer for the Yankees, still wears 42. He will until he retires, which will hopefully be sometime before, I eat dinner tonight. But in all honesty, it's a great honor for him to still be wearing that number, and a great honor for Jackie Robinson to have his number retired throughout the entire sport. Any questions up to this point?
Are we going to the Monster?
Yeah, we're going to the Monster.
Yeah, fast. Yeah, fast.
Are we going to the Green Monster?
Say hello to
Fine.